Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Adam Smith. Inside this game unboxing, as you can see here on the table, we're going to be taking a close-up look of all the components inside the box for Luthier. This comes from Paverson Games. Their game prior to this was Distilled, which has been shown and covered on the channel before. If you want to check out that game, I'll put a link to the entire showcase in the top right-hand corner so you can see what that one is all about, one of which I really love. And this new entry, I'm excited to check out and see what it's all about. So without further ado, let's dive inside the box. We'll first find out a little bit more about what this game is all about for those that are unfamiliar with it, and then I'll show you all the components inside. Luthier lets you step into the life of a master instrument maker in the golden age of classical music. You'll balance crafting fine instruments, managing your workshop, and earning the favor of historic patrons like Mozart and Beethoven. Every decision you make, whether it's improving skills, training apprentices, or performing, shapes your path to mastery. It's a blend of hidden bidding and worker placement, creating a rich strategic puzzle that rewards careful planning and thematic immersion, offering a thoughtful and elegant solo experience steeped in artistry and history. When you crack into the box for the very first time, you're going to find the rulebook right on top. Underneath that is a rehearsal book. We're going to take a look at both of these in just a moment, and then it gets into punchboards, the main board, and a number of other punchboards underneath. As we get into the rulebook, you'll see an important note for solo players towards the bottom of the first page. It says the solo rules are also included in the rehearsal booklet, so we'll certainly be taking a look at that as I mentioned in just a moment. But first, let's go through a number of pages here inside the main rulebook. You'll see an awesome set of instructions here for the setup, running through 9 steps on these 2 pages, and there's an illustration with the numbering across all the different pieces of setup as required. In the top right-hand corner, you'll see a 2-player additional setup instructions, as well as an orchestra setup example here, an alternative 2-player setup using solo AI if you want to go that route. And the next 2 pages show all the player setup instructions illustrated as well. As you go through page number 7, the workbench board appears. You've got the Luthier family, the patron row, so Luthier family here, patron row across the top section. You got the roughing bench across the bottom here with material storage in the center, and the finishing bench off to the far right-hand side. And then you get into the game overview and round overview, the structure of the game itself and game end. This is important information, so I'll give you a quick up-close look at that. You see that Luthier takes place over 6 rounds, broken into a planning phase and a resolution phase. And then from here we get into the meat of the actual rulebook, breaking down things like resources, tracks, personal goals, and the actual start of the round using the workbench boards. So this should give you a great idea as to layout and flow of the rulebook. You'll also see on the far right-hand side, nice, obvious examples illustrated throughout. We'll skip ahead towards the back half of the rulebook here on pages 25 and 26. You're going to see things like the first chair examples, a full structured example here on the left-hand side, as well as end-of-game scoring, important information around how that occurs. Now I'm excited to dive into the rehearsal book in just a moment as it'll get more into the solo-specific rules. A nice touch at the back of the rulebook is Luthier Legacies. This will allow you to go after some inspirational instances of reputation and prestige that you can try to accomplish in your game, as well as members of the Master Luthier's Guild in a single game trying to accomplish these specific things. So for example, scoring over 125 prestige points, or making 7 instruments, or maybe making 8 repairs. And a great thing to see at the very back of the rulebook is a breakdown of iconography and different major game effects that are good to know. So you want to keep this close by when you're playing for the very first time. It'll help you to understand certain things like goals, awards, patron powers, and this is broken down even further by different types of patrons. And then you'll see board tracks, board locations, and more reference material on the back of the rulebook. Now into the second booklet. This is the rehearsal booklet, and as it mentions right here on the left, it tells you it's a guided first round of Luthier, so it's going to help you out when you're learning the game for the first time. So whether you're teaching the game to friends through step-by-step turns and decision making, you can find that inside this book. It'll hand-hold you through that first round of play, but it's also written to benefit players that are unfamiliar with heavier, more strategy-focused games, like this one, for example. But it also takes into account there's a number of veteran players out there that don't really want to be handheld to the entire experience, but this does a great job of streamlining that first round through so you can see exactly how the game flows and operates. You'll also note at the very bottom of the page, it tells you to find the solo rules on page 21, which we will certainly jump to in a moment, but I want to show you the first couple pages of the book first. Again, this rehearsal is a guided approach to learning the game. Things are pinpointed in terms of how you're supposed to set things up, and you can see here, it's set up for a 4-player game. And the approach behind this rehearsal book for somebody who's playing with multiple people around the table is you're going to go ahead and read out things and also action them on the table as it depicts as you go through the book. But every time you hit these yellow spots here, you're going to read it as the individual with the book in hand and keep that information to yourself as you progress through. Now, if you're playing solo, you'll consume the rule book. You'll also come to this book either afterwards or before to check out the solo rules section. And that's because, just like they did with Distilled, there's a dedicated section of the rulebook devoted to solo play. You're going to find the full solo setup here. It has a number of steps, 11 in this case, again, numbered out on the illustration as well, so you know exactly where to place things. These 2 pages begin discussing all the special aspects of solo play, and the really key section to read right now is the gameplay section and the special rules. And this is where it's going to give you a breakdown as to how this rules section is used in comparison with the core rules. So you can see, for example, it says your turns are played as normal, but the AI establishes its priority using the priority tracker on its player board and the location priority lists outlined in these rules. So that's where you'll find the location priority as you continue to read on through this area here. These priorities are not the same as the priority order in the core rules, as already kind of figured out just from the sentences above, which determines the player resolution at the given location based on the placement order and the worker skill. So again, things are being replaced by the AI behavior of the game. You'll also find a number of rules specific to the AI about things that it does not do, it never receives, it ignores, or maybe gains. And you'll also find illustrated examples in the solo section, just like you did in the core rulebook. The solo rules in total will run from pages 21 all the way to 27, and towards the back here, as I get there, you're going to notice a couple things that are just additional at the very end. One thing very important is the final scoring section right here, and the ability to increase the difficulty if you find that the typical difficulty is not enough for you, or you've played enough times that you've now kind of mastered things to a certain level. You can pump things up and make it harder on yourself. Last but not least, for the booklets at the very back of the rehearsal book, you got a full breakdown of a round structure going through all the rounds, not just the planning and resolution, but the start of round as well and the end of round. You've got endgame scoring across the bottom and a full icon glossary. And here's a top-down look at the main board for the game, which looks absolutely stunning. One thing that I definitely appreciate on the game board in terms of how it's presented is not only the artwork, but the scale and size of the iconography. You can actually see the icons from distance, and for a Euro game, that is something that is typically not done very well. Usually they're quite small, and you pretty much have to bury your head into the map to actually see what's going on in each space. You can clearly see these banners from quite a ways away, and you can also even see into the orchestra pit, for example, and see the iconography quite clearly from distance just based on how the colors are laid out. The game board will certainly attract attention as it's placed on the table. Now let's check out the punchboards in the box, the front and back of them. With the punchboards out of the way, we'll check out the insert inside the box. We got a couple of compartments here, as well as a number of individually wrapped components. We're going to take a look at all of these up close, as well as the cards here in the bottom right-hand corner. That's going to do it for all the cubes and tracker tokens as well as the dice. Let's now jump into the cards. I'll show you each of these up close. And that, my friends, wraps up my game unboxing for Luthier. If you enjoyed the video and you found it helpful, leave a like. Also, let me know in the comments down below whether or not you're picking this one up, you're intrigued by it, or if you've already got it to the table and you actually have some thoughts on it. We would love, as a solo community, to hear what you have to say on this one in the comments below. Also, you can check out our Discord channel and Facebook group. We're talking about all solo games at all times, whether they go straight to retail or they're going through crowdfunding. You'll find a place in either spot to talk about those, especially the Discord. And if we're not seeing you in either of those places, or if we are, we would also love you to become a member of the channel. You can find the join button on the YouTube page, and that will give you early access to videos in advance of anybody else. Now, everything is available to everybody at all times. It will always be released, but you'll get those videos earlier than anybody else as a thank you. Thanks again for watching, and as always, keep on rolling solo.